Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be telling you my favourites of 2022. Now, I read 170 books in 2022, so I thought my favourites would have been a lot longer. Now, I've actually added some books in because I think they deserve to be on there the more I've thought about it, and I don't really know why they weren't there. Just a small caveat, the HarperCollins strike in America is still going on, so just to let you know, there will be a few, possibly, HarperCollins books that I will mention, but I won't be going into detail other than what star rating I have given it. Because I want to include them because they're amazing books by amazing authors, so I just wanted to let you know that there will be a few books that are from HarperCollins, so let's just jump into it. These are in no particular order, so these are just all my top 5-star 2022 favourites. So, I think there's 14 books were my favourite. I've got my laptop here because some of them I borrowed from Hannah and I can't find them on her shelves because she's recently moved everything. And I didn't want to spoil this for her either because I would like her to see just how much influence she has had over my reading, which is a good thing because Hannah is great at recommending books to me, so that's not a bad thing. So let's just jump into it. So the first one, I'm literally just picking from the pile, so it's all my paperbacks, all my hardbacks, and I'll probably talk about some of the ones that I couldn't find as well, which is why my laptop is here, right here, and that has got my list, so I can just refer back. So again, no particular order, it's just what I pick up first. So, firstly, it's Mina and the Undead by Amy McCall. This was amazing. This was a vampire novel, YA vampire novel set in New Orleans, and British teen Mina goes to visit her sister, and crazy things happen. There's a haunted house attraction, or a horror house attraction, I should say, and things happen. That's a great review, Lizzie. But I have recently become good friends with Amy, and I adored this book, so if you haven't read it yet, definitely go out and pick it up. Amy is lovely, and this book was absolutely fantastic. 5 out of 5 stars, exactly what I wanted. It gave me all the 90s vibes, and boy oh boy oh boy do I want to go to New Orleans, because this book, it was just fabulous, okay guys? I loved it a lot. Just incredible. Next up, although I didn't officially make my list, I am changing my mind and I will be putting this onto my list. There are 2 books that I've added in because I feel like they should be there and I don't really know why I didn't put them there, to be honest with you. First one of those is The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. Now, this is a horror and it's about taxidermy and portals into this crazy realm. So this was unnerving. This book, the entire way through, super duper duper unnerving. The whole time I was at the edge of my seat and I was like, oh my god, something horrible is gonna happen. It was creepy. It was like, it made me feel gross, like, at times. And that's a good thing in this book. T. Kingfisher, I think, is a absolute master of their craft. Like, they know exactly how to write horror. And I love this so much. It's set in a small town in America, and the main character, Clara, just reminding myself, it was a long time I read this, basically goes to her uncle's house. Yeah, her uncle's house, because her uncle, I think he falls over, something happens health-wise, and he needs help in this, like, weird museum he has. Like, it's literally really weird. There's taxidermy animals, there's, like, old, like, I don't know, like, totems and stuff, like, lots of old, strange things. And something gets brought in, and suddenly she starts to hear, like, things moving in the night. In her bedroom, there is this literal, like, stag head that she gives a name, and, like, that's already weird. But then this hole in the wall opens up and she steps into this world which is seemingly empty, but also has weird things like a school bus that isn't quite right. Stuff like that. And there's all these bunkers and these tiny islands, which some have bunkers, some don't. And yeah, 'tis weird. 'Tis wonderful. Please go pick this up. A massive 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely adored it. The other one that I've added to this list, it actually feels rude that I didn't add this to the list, but that is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. Stephen Graham Jones is fast becoming an auto-buy author. for his novels. I haven't enjoyed his novellas too much, but his novels, top tier. This and The Only Good Indians, both fabulous. I listened to both of those on audio, but My Heart is a Chainsaw I think I definitely preferred more. This follows a girl called Jade, and she is obsessed, like obsessed with horror and final girls, and she feels like something terrible is going to happen, and she's found out who the final girl is. And there are like little chapters where she talks about like horror, and there's like moments where you think, is Jade going to be the killer? Like, and then weird stuff does happen, right? Like, it's not all in her head. Like, it actually starts coming true. And I'm not gonna lie, the ending threw me, but knowing there's a sequel and it's actually gonna be a trilogy, it's the Lake Witch trilogy. I know Don't Fear the Reaper has come out, so I'll definitely be grabbing myself a copy of that as soon as I can. But I love this book. Stephen Graham Jones knows about horror. He knows his genre. Like, and incredible. Genuinely, I can't recommend this book enough. Obviously, look up content warnings for yourself if you do know that you need those, and there are certain things in here that possibly, well, they might trigger people. So please go and check out those warnings just in case. But this is by far one of my favourites horror books of the entire year. Next is a slightly different vibe, but that is The Other Ones by Fran Hart. Now, this typically I wouldn't have thought would be my thing, but it's got these beautiful sprayed edges. It was the Waterstones edition. I totally forgot that I'd ordered this, but this follows a group of teens, and it's basically Heartstopper meets Halloween. Like, Halloween comes to Heartstopper, right? Not like the horror movie, but like the season, with like pumpkin carving, a strange boy in a graveyard who is literally the biggest cinnamon roll. Like, I just want to protect him. I love this book so much. It's just really cute. There's nothing, like, it's a contemporary with some kind of like magical realism maybe, and like there's some like ghosts but not really, and there's twists and turns, and this friendship group is just adorable. So many good things about this book, and I don't think it's being talked about enough. Like, people love Heartstopper, add some spooks, and then you get The Other Ones. And I love it. I love it so much. This was exactly what I needed at the time. Like, genuinely, this gave me just a warm hug. Like, it just felt like that type of book to me. So yeah, again, massive 5 out of 5 stars for this. Gentle, spooky vibes. Next is The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargreaves. Now, Kieran Millwood Hargreaves, again, is quickly becoming an auto-buy author for me. This is a YA gothic fantasy, and it follows twin sisters and the diverging paths that take them. This is also a Dracula's Wives retelling, although it's kind of hard to find throughout the rest of the story. I didn't care. I fucking loved this book. There was this overarching threat above everyone, and the main character was amazing. Again, I'm terrified. Like, I'm so stupid, but I can't remember names. Lil and her twin sister Kizzy are captured by the cruel Boya Valkar, forced work as slaves, and also it's LGBTQ+, and the way this ends is heart-wrenching. Like, literally rip out my heart and just stomp in it. Why don't you? You did with Lila, no. Julia in the Shark, even, which is up there, the bright yellow book in the middle. That was amazing. This is amazing. Also made me cry. Again, vampires, but not like obvious vampires until the... This book is so dang good. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars immediately. So just before I go on to my hardbacks, I am going to talk about the books that I couldn't find that were on Hannah's shelves, because I need to talk about them somewhere. I borrowed Darkwood by Gabby Hutchison Crouch. This is a middle grade fantasy that kind of feels like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just a lot of fun. It follows fairy tale protagonists, but not really how you remember them. And just chaos ensues. Silliness ensues. There is Snow White and her dwarves, and all her dwarves say are yummy. And I love that so much. It is such a fun book. I've read book 2, and I'd love to read book 3, The Glass Coffin, but again, I don't even know where Hannah's put it, so I can't find those books right now, which is frustrating, but there we are. The next book is The Vanishing of Evelyn Jones by Phil Hicks. This is book 3 in the Evelyn Jones series. I hope it's not the last book in the Evelyn Jones series, because I loved this one. It was ghosts. It was... Well, no, it wasn't ghosts. What am I talking about? Not fucking ghosts. What am I on about? No, it's about fae and fairies and local folklore and, well, British folklore. I was going to say local. You might not be local to me. British folklore and the idea of tricking and fairies aren't all they're cracked up to be kind of thing. I don't know. I love Evelyn so much. I think as a middle grade heroine, she is absolutely amazing. And it's book 3. I don't want to say too much, but I just really love Evelyn. Okay, good. Moving on. The last book that I couldn't find, and I am gutted I couldn't find, it is Bees by Lillian Paul. Now, I have done a reading vlog for this, as well as a couple of other books, but again, that'll be linked in the cards. This follows literal bees, dystopian bees. And when I tell you when I can't look at a bee in the same way, I legit mean it. Like, it's The Handmaid's Tale, but make them bees. And like the craziest thing about this is that it's real. Like, that's what bees are like. Like, and I get it, I do. But I cried so much reading that book. Like, we had a bee in our conservatory in the summer, and it nearly got eaten by a spider, and I could not contemplate it. Luckily, Hannah fought the spider off with a knife, and we managed to save the bee. Before reading The Bees, would I have cared if that bee had lived or died? No. I wouldn't have given a shit. But that bee, like the bees, oh, it's just amazing. Like, hive life and the problems and the trials and tribulations. Like, I just wanted the best for the bee we followed. So good. Like, if you haven't read The Bees yet, what are you doing? Go get yourself a copy. So those are some of the books. There is one more that I did manage to find, but I'll go on to that a little bit later on. On to my hardbacks. The first one is a HarperCollins book. I'm very sorry, I'm briefly going to talk to you about it. It's not going to surprise anyone. Everyone's been talking about this book. But that would be Babel, or The Necessity of Violence by R.F. Kuang. This is amazing. Absolutely loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. This is a very loot edition. That's all I'm going to say at this moment. But once the HarperCollins strike is done, I will be posting a review, because wow. So this is the other one from Hannah's shelves. came in here. This is The Murder of Graham Catton by Katie Lowe. This is a thriller. Well, we're not quite sure who killed Graham Catton. Like, it could have been, like, is it the wife? I think this has got a new title called My Husband's Murder or something. I hate it, and I hate the new cover, so I'm really glad Hannah has this edition, because this is the inferior edition. But this follows, what is her name? Hannah. This follows Hannah Catton and the aftermath of the death of her husband. And she is, the whole way through, you think she might have done it, right? That's the idea. And I don't know, there was something so gripping about this book, and the twists and turns. This was amazing. This was absolutely amazing. I loved it a lot. So I got 5 out of 5 stars. I don't want to say too much, because it literally will spoil this book. Again, another one, if you haven't read it yet, go pick yourself up a copy, even though the new cover is hideous. We can't win, okay? But it's a great story, so don't let the cover put you off. Next is Leech by Hiron Eanes. This is a horror dystopian book, and this was really hard to pinpoint the time period it's supposed to be set in, and that is extremely on purpose. Like, the author, like, they knew exactly what they were doing when they made their decision. This is fantastic. You also don't really you don't really pick up on the gender identity of this character either, and that is super interesting to explore, because when it kind of gets revealed, I don't really know how to say that, but like, once you realise the age and gender, like, the people around them react to the main character in interesting ways. But it basically follows this doctor, and essentially there is a parasite that has taken over the minds of everyone who's important. So you like doctors, politicians, scientists, all sorts of people, right? Soldiers. And they are like one hive mind, I guess, that can shoot off into different synapses. And this book opens with like quite a gross scene of a death of one of the branches. And then we follow the next Doctor following on, and it's like in the remote Alps, I think. I think it's in the Alps. Well, I don't know. Again, location-wise is strange, but it's an isolated chateau, so I feel like it's the French Alps. But it's not France as we know it, if you know what I mean. And it's like this mystery of how did this happen? Like, how did we die? Because we don't remember how this happened. And then it's like finding out what this is and people getting taken over by something else. I can't talk about this book enough. Like, it's so well written. There is tension. The kind of like unnerving feeling because you like this literal leech. Like, you're in this person's mind who's been taken over by this leech, and you want the parasite to live and you want them to win. I know it sounds insane, but yeah, I don't want to say again too much, otherwise you get spoiled. But I would definitely pick this up because this is a debut, and if this writer continues to, well, if this author continues to write like this, I'll pick up anything they write, like legit. So we're nearly there. Next up is Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. I loved Amari and the Night Brothers when I read it. This was just as good. Amari is really growing into her own character, and again, this had funny moments, tense moments, sad moments, twists and turns, things you weren't expecting to happen, and then they happened kind of deal, and I really enjoyed it. So if you haven't read Amari, pick it up. Like, for goodness sake, pick it up. Magic school, magic powers, supervillains, superheroes, learning how to become a superhero, basically. So yeah, please, like, give Amari a chance, because why wouldn't you? Next up, again, is not going to be a surprise to anyone. If you know me, I haven't stopped talking about this book, and that is Horsemen by Christina Henry. This is a Sleepy Hollow retelling, and I absolutely adored it. It's not for everyone. I think Christina Henry's writing is not for everyone, but it's certainly for me. I've enjoyed 98% of the books that she has published, and this follows Ben and their journey into self-discovery, and there's a lot of important talks about gender identity, and I just loved that it was in here as if it was like there was nothing about it that made it other or strange. It was just accepted, but then also the struggle that comes within the gender identity. And I really enjoyed this. Like, it's very recognisably Sleepy Hollow. Like, it's set in the town Sleepy Hollow, and it's set like back in time. I don't exactly know the time period, but it's set like it's time appropriate. But it follows the events after Sleepy Hollow, and I love this book. Okay, I don't know what else to tell you. But it's not for everyone, so, like, I get it. If you don't like Christina Henry, you're probably not gonna like this book, so there is that, okay? There's that. Last but certainly not least is probably the book I would consider my favourite book of 2022. Again, if you know me, I would hope this wouldn't be a surprise, but it might be. But I read this in January last year, so that tells you, if this is still the best book of 2022, I think that tells you more about my reading year than anything else. And that is Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. This was my favourite book because it follows an AI called Clara and her life as a virtual friend. This book made me cry over a robot, guys. Like, that's basically why it's on this list. This book made me feel so many things about a robot. I cried so hard at the end of this book. Like, even thinking about it, it's making me feel emotional, so I'm not gonna dwell on it, but Ishiguro's writing style throughout all this is amazing. We are looking through Clara's eyes basically the whole time, and it talks about the importance of the sun and the planet, and she's a friend to this sick child who's got like a terminal illness, and there are moments which are just so heart-wrenching, but then time is also played with. It's so clever. Like, honestly, this, out of all my recommendations from this video, this is the one I'd love you to pick up the most, because it's poignant, it's beautiful, it's sad, it's reflective, and it's just stunningly written. Like, stunningly written. So please give this book a chance, especially if you've read Ishiguro before. I reread Never Let Me Go after reading this, and I can tell you this is a billion times better than Never Let Me Go. I know people have a reaction to Never Let Me Go, personal experiences, etc., etc., but in my opinion, this book is a billion times better, and I got much more out of Ishiguro's writing in this than I did with his other works. So, yeah. There we have it. That is my best books of 2022. There are some honourable mentions. I'd like to mention Iron Widow by Zero J Zhao. That's literally right behind me. Like, this should have been on the list, right? I don't know why it wasn't. Again, I think I just missed this stupidly while I was looking on my shelves. This is a story of empowerment. There is polyamory in this. There is feeling beautiful and strong in your own skin, but also being the badass who wants to take out her sister's murderer. This is a sci-fi futuristic China, and there are some massive like creatures, and it's kind of like Pacific Rim, I guess. And then the people make these massive robots that can be piloted by two pilots, a male pilot and a female pilot, and they're called concubines, the female pilots, and the male pilots basically can draw on their strengths to power the big robots. And yeah, if that doesn't make you want to read it, I don't know how else to explain it, because so many things happen. So this is also one that I would like to quickly mention, because it was amazing. So yeah, I think actually that is my last one. So that's 15. Okay, that's 15 books. So less than 10%. I love that for me. But yeah, those are those books. If you have read any of them and you agree with me, let me know down in the comments. If you can't be bothered, just put a firework emoji or something close. A flower will do. Any emoji you want in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in my next video. Bye guys!